The headlines: Police arrest suspected kidnappers, arms manufacturer in Jigawa. Fifth batch of Kano graduates departs for India on foreign scholarship. Truck, car collide along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And from the international scene, Israel-Hamas truce begins after 48 days of war. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us, and now the details. The Jigawa State Police Command says it has arrested 4 suspected kidnappers and a firearms manufacturer in Ringim local government area of the state. The command's public relations officer, DSP Shisu Adam, who disclosed this in a statement made available to newsmen on Friday, added that the suspect, Bashir Muhammad, aged 50, was picked up in his home at Endut and Kawari village in possession of a pistol and 2 locally made rifles. He explained that the arrest was made through a joint operation by the police and local vigilante groups. According to Adam, during the interrogation, the suspect confessed to manufacturing and selling firearms to unidentified individuals. Gunmen said to be numbering about 30 on Wednesday night attacked Mpape community in the Bwari Area Council in the Federal Capital Territory. The incident led to the killing of 1 resident and abduction of 8 others. The report.
Residents who spoke to Trust TV said the kidnappers came into the area around 9 p.m. on Wednesday, attacking about 6 different houses, including the palace of the chief of the community, Peter David, who was among the 8 abducted persons. His sister-in-law, Josephine David, gave detailed account of how the incident took place.
For this place is a palace, His Royal Highness Zaki Wanjiare Serkefili. So he's a family to me. That's my brother-in-law. So that last night, my house is down there quite all right. So immediately we heard what happened. I was disturbed quite all right, but I don't know that they were involved. It was this morning that I find out that they were not around and they invaded the house. So we came in, we saw the doors, the rooms, everywhere was turned upside down. Both his palace is turned upside down. So we have been trying the line throughout yesterday. It wasn't going through till this very morning.
One of the residents, Shegun Jimo, was shot dead by the gunmen who divided themselves into groups. Kayode Ogun is a guardian to the deceased.
So I was called, that my wife called me, that so thing is happening in the environment. I say, where is this? Where is my people? What everybody is around? They say no, except Shegun. They did not know where about of Shegun. I say, what? Immediately they called me again that Shegun, they have shot Shegun die up there, because Shegun hear that a small pikin is crying inside the bush there, over there. He won't go there to rush and rescue the baby from there. He was attacked with gun.
2 residents, Chinwe Wozo and another lady who simply gave her name as Chichi, were among those that escaped the abduction by the Whiskers. They gave further details about how the attackers got to their respective homes and abducted 1 person each from their homes.
My brother, they packed my guy's shoe, even my money, they burgled everywhere, all the rooms, collected money, collected shoes, carried everything, like the thing they could touch, and then they now carried the boy together. The guy is a mature guy, around 31 or so. So next, I saw some people, they were like knocking again. So in my mind, I thought maybe it's the people the boys that normally work for him, because some of them do sleep in it. So when I stood outside there, I said, let me go inside and lock door. And then I was seeing some men coming. So then I went inside because everywhere is lonely. So I went inside. I locked the door when I was locking this door. So I was kind of hearing their voices. I asked my mom that she should not talk, that some people are coming inside. I don't know who they are.
The attackers also shot another resident who was rushed to an undisclosed hospital in Abuja, where he was receiving medical attention.
Worried by the recent rise in kidnappings in the nation's capital, the Senate has called on the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike to revisit the failed $500 million contract awarded in 2009 for the installation of the CCTV cameras in Abuja and its environs. The Senate also wants to execute the installation of the CCTV cameras in strategic locations across the 36 states to forestall indecencies or incidences of kidnapping and other criminal activities across the country. The report.
These resolutions, among others, were reached during Wednesday's plenary following a debate on a motion presented on the floor by the senator representing Delta North, Ned Nwoko. In his lead debate, Nwoko expressed concern over the kidnapping incident in Galadimao area of Abuja, where 19 people were forcefully taken from their homes, including his senior legislative aide, Chris Agidi. He further noted that out of the 19 individuals kidnapped, 12 are feared dead, while efforts to ascertain the well-being of the remaining 7 victims are ongoing.
Deeply worried that the failure to urgently address the kidnapping crisis in Nigeria, especially in FCT, could result in social unrest, loss of confidence in governance, humanitarian toll, economic decline, increased insecurity, and potential international implications, all of which could profoundly impact the nation's stability, prosperity, and international standing.
Contributing to the debate, Senators Enyi Nanya Abaribe and Adamu Alero noted that the security situation in Abuja has hit an all-time high, as most people can no longer sleep in their homes for fear of being attacked.
So many citizens no longer sleep in their homes. They run into town and go back during the day. So there's something very, very serious going on in around the Federal Capital Territory. No matter what we say, this is the capital territory of Nigeria. If there's anywhere that's going to be seen as very secure, this ought to be the most secure place in Nigeria. Now that it seems that the same lackadaisical attitude to security is being taken to, all of us are at risk.
Mr. President, FCT is home for everybody. That's why everybody is now coming into FCT to stay because of relative security compared to other places in the 36 states of the Federation. This is the seat of government. This is where the diplomats are staying. It is embarrassing. It's a national shame and disgrace for us to have this kind of thing. So the security agent must be up to task, and we must ginger them to do the needful.
The Senate leadership therefore called on the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to increase patrol around the FCT and other parts of the country to curb the worrisome trend.
The Nasarawa State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, the APC, has hailed the appeal court judgment that upturned the decision of the Governorship Election Tribunal and affirmed the Governor Abdullahi Sule as winner of the March 18th governorship poll in the state. This is contained in a statement signed by the party's state publicity secretary, Otaru Douglas, and made available to newsmen in Lafia. The party in the statement welcomed with excitement the appeal court's decision, saying it had brought relief to the people. The tribunal had on October 2nd annulled the election of the governor and declared David Ombugado of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as the winner of the election. Activists in Delta State have decried the alleged marginalization of persons living with disability in the electoral process. According to them, despite the provisions in the Electoral Act, when they decide to vote or be voted for, the process is cumbersome, if not near impossible for them. Jonathan Anwayai reports.
The call for simplification of the electoral process
to enable persons with disabilities participate easily follows challenges encountered by them in the not-too-distant elections in the country. They therefore want those tasked with the responsibility of conducting elections to be intentional about not disenfranchising them through rigorous processes that are not PWDs friendly.
And of course, which also involves you and I, should become more conscious of the fact that life doesn't begin and end with only me. There are people who cannot hear. There are people who may not be able to see, impartial or full. There are people who are inhibited by, mobility, limited by their limbs and all of that. And these people also have a right to live because they also have breath. Now, what are we able to do to make sure that life is really worth living, especially in the third world like in Nigeria? When it's time to vote, how comfortable, how realistic is this experience for them? As regards education, for example, in Delta States, there is no special Braille school. So it simply means that if you're blind or visually impaired, you don't have the right to go to school.
Some people doesn't have hand. How would they thumb print? How would they write? So create this environment so that people with disability can feel as a citizen of a given country.
We receive them and take them along, whatever we are doing in this country. Because for we to marginalize them in this country, I think it is not fair. I advise our leader at least to make sure that at least whatever Nigerians are doing, they should also consider disabled people in Nigeria.
They called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, political parties as key drivers of the democratic process and governance in Nigeria to take the lead in encouraging the full participation of the PWDs as citizens with equal rights in all party processes, procedures, and activities. Adding that there is a need for more people with disabilities take on more executive, political, and leadership roles at all levels. They urge the electoral umpire to offer priority voting to the marginalized populations. Jonathan Awaye, Trust TV News, Asaba.
The National Economic Council has resolved to set up a National Flood Management Council to be domiciled in the office of the Vice President Kashim Shettima, which will oversee a roadmap for flood mitigation, adaptation, preparedness, and response in Nigeria. The Council's resolution came on a day it endorsed the special agro-industrial processing zones in 7 participating states in the first phase of a 5-year development plan. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Floods have continued to pose a growing risk to states across Nigeria, primarily because of inadequate flood planning, unwise human settlements in flood-prone areas, and serious disruption of natural processes. The last 3 rainy seasons in the country have been particularly devastating, which is why the National Economic Council set up a committee to work out a comprehensive roadmap for flood mitigation, adaptation, preparedness and response in Nigeria.
For emergency livelihood support to persons at risk of flood disaster during 2023 rainy season. Secondly, to review existing reports and plans relevant to the mitigation and response to flood disasters in Nigeria, as well as the report by the National Economic Council Committee on Flood.
Meanwhile, Kano, Imo, Kaduna, Cross River, Kwara, Oyo and Ogun states and the Federal Capital Territory are to be designated special agro-industrial processing zones. It is expected that the program will create 3,000 jobs in the participating states from site construction and a collective 500,000 jobs when production and processing start. It will also improve the livelihood of 100,000 farmers in the participating states with the development of agribusiness MSME clusters for primary processing of agricultural products.
The program is, in a sense, like the name connotes, it's a special agro-processing zone. It's a one-stop shop where we will site it in peri-urban areas, not exactly in urban areas, and where you will have both production, aggregation, and processing.
The council also keyed into the health sector renewal program, which it hopes to finance by a specially dedicated pool of funds to drive investment in healthcare value chain. Decentralized facility financing is expected to help the program improve the service readiness of 17,000 primary healthcare centers and 774 secondary facilities. The aim is to deliver universal primary healthcare free to all beneficiaries.
17,000 primary health centers to be put on a threshold of viability, 774 secondary facilities, that is hospitals, in addition to some tertiary institutions, just to make sure Medicare is brought close to the majority of Nigerians.
At the end of September, the excess crude account stood at well over $473,000, while the stabilization account had a closing balance of 37.597 billion naira. In the same vein, the current value of the natural resource account is 144.683 billion naira. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
The fifth batch of 50 more graduates out of the 1,100 indigenous students that graduated with first class and sponsored by the Kano state government to study abroad have been airlifted to India for their master's degree programs. The beneficiaries departed Malam Aminu Kano International Airport for Lagos on Friday, from where they would be airlifted to India. Speaking immediately after the takeoff, the Commissioner for Higher Education, Yusuf Ofermata, who witnessed the departure of the students in company of other government officials, said the beneficiaries, when they arrive in India, would be taken to various universities including Sharda, Symbiosis, Mewar, Sri Sai, Swarnim, and Kalinga for commencement of their master's degree programs in different disciplines. Ofermata noted that the students are first-class graduates who were meritoriously selected based on their performance in their undergraduate programs, adding that they will study in internationally competitive areas of professionalism to bridge the manpower gap in the state and across the nation. You're watching news updates on Trust TV. Coming up, we will tell you how lack of basic amenities leads to rise in price of commodities in Benue community. This and more after the break. Stay with us.
We started manufacturing leather since 1958. But the most important thing is that if the system is checked correctly, we won't have where we are now.
If somebody has depression, they may just be very irritable and unproductive in the office. So you find on average already about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 Nigerians already have a mental illness, a mental health condition that needs some form of attention.
No matter how good an economy is, if the federal government goes bust, believe me, everything in the economy is just a matter of time it will go bust. So first of all, about maybe slightly above, below 70% is in federal government securities.
If government has banned importation of fertilizer and states are doing it at the level of governance, but I believe that production and distribution of fertilizer should be left to the private sector.
This is the general multi-purpose card and it has a chip here. So this chip is about 80 kilobytes. The one that you get from the bank for ATM is just 4 kilobytes. So this is like 20 times.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. Here's a recap of our top stories. Robochi police arrest suspected kidnappers, arms manufacturer in Jigawa. And fifth batch of Kano graduates depart for India on foreign scholarship. Moving on to more stories, a crash involving a car and a truck occurred in the early hours of Friday at the Magboro end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. An eyewitness who was at the scene of the accident reported that no life was lost, but the accident involved a Toyota Camry with a number plate SMK 436GB and a Mercedes-Benz truck with number plate AKD G43XM. The crash happened around 8:10 a.m. just before the Magboro bus stop side of the road. The car was heading towards Ibadan while the truck was about to get on the road before the collision happened. Reports say the accident has caused a gridlock on the inward Ibadan lane of the expressway. The lack of basic social amenities like roads, hospital and educational institutions has become a source of concern for most rural settlements in Benue State. The absence of these basic facilities has resulted to mass migration of young people from rural areas to the urban settings. According to Jimmy Atzande, who filed in this report, this mass migration is a major setback for the rural economy. His report.
According to rural dwellers in many settlements, no one has ever seen a hygienic water source within their communities. Hence, they are restricted to available sources, which in most cases are not healthy. There is lack of potable water in our village. The water source is a river, and it is contaminated and not good for consumption. I am a food vendor, and a major challenge is potable water. This is negatively affecting my Our farm settlements are quite a distance. Same way we go looking for water. Sometimes we go hungry for lack of water. The absence of health facilities and electricity, they also said, is the reason why many prefer to migrate to urban settlements like Makurdi. The distance we go in search of health facilities has caused many avoidable deaths. We hope someday someone will come to our rescue. I travel far away to recharge my clippers for the health court business. Without electricity, my business is suffering setbacks. This is the reason why many people choose to live in town than live in villages. Opinion experts and policy analysts opine that granting local government autonomy is the only way development can reach rural communities.
And if you go through around the country, you agree that the third year of government is not functioning at all. So I think that is my view concerning that. There's no autonomy now. So if at the end of the day the houses of assembly are able to vote in favor of that proposal, then the local government autonomy will be granted. I think it will be better off for it.
Residents of Benue said the practice over the years has been one in which politicians listen to the demands of the rural dwellers during campaigns, lamenting that once they are in government, no one remembers the conspicuous infrastructural deficits, which is a catalyst for rural to urban migration in Benue State. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum have directed the construction of about 4-kilometer road network at Federal Polytechnic, Mongono. The governor ordered the allocation of a building owned by the Borno State government for use as a hostel by the Polytechnic. Zulum directed that the road construction be executed in phases, with the first phase to commence in January next year. He gave the directive during a visit to the permanent site of the Polytechnic, which is under construction in Mongono town. Meanwhile, Governor Babagana Zulum has approved the release of 20 million naira to the Specialist Hospital Mongono for the hospital's management to cater for the hospital's immediate needs. Zulum also ordered an incentive package to be distributed to all staff who had reported to work at the time of his visit in order to motivate them.
I want to commend the team director of the Hospitals Management Board. And I also want to commend the principal medical officer and all other medical and paramedical staff that are working here. In order to encourage youth and provide additional funding to the other so that we can identify some of the major challenges.
From the international scene, a 4-day Gaza ceasefire agreed by Hamas and Israel has taken effect for the first time after 7 weeks of war. The Gaza Strip endures a night of intensified bombardment from air, land, and sea ahead of the start of Qatar-mediated truce, the UN said. Another Palestinian journalist, Amal Zoud, and his family members were killed in Gaza City, according to the Wafa news agency. Meanwhile, the Israeli military raids continue overnight across the occupied West Bank, where some 211 Palestinians have been killed since October 7th. More than 14,800 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. In Israel, the official death toll from Hamas attacks stands at about 1,200. A sad note here, a former general officer commanding 82 Division Enugu of the Nigerian Army, General Yohana Yerima Kure, is dead. The late General Kure, who was also the GOC 2 Mechanized Division Ibadan and the Director, Army Special Duties and Plans, died at the age of 82. A statement made available to newsmen says that he was a member of the Armed Forces Ruling Council between 1985 and 1987 and at the onset of Ibrahim Babangida's administration, and he was also a member of the Supreme Military Council of Nigeria from 1983 to 1985 during Buhari's military government. Upon his voluntary retirement in 1990, he was appointed Minister of Culture and Special Welfare and the Minister of Sports and Youth Development. According to the statement, a wake-keep and service of songs will be held on the 29th of November 2023 at Ekwa Church, Lemo Road, Tudunwada, Kaduna by 4 p.m., while burial will hold on the 1st of December 2023 in his hometown, Kurme Musa Kachia, local government area of Kaduna State. And with that, we wrap up news updates on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. Join our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.